once Phillips leaves, Harley tells him, she's going to leave too. And, that she would have left earlier, but she got stopped by, Phillips. So Jackson tells her that he doesn't want her to go. And he apologizes for pulling away. And she's like, what did I do wrong? And he's like, you didn't do anything wrong. He was like, it was me. And he's like, please just stay, so we can have a conversation. And so his company had got him a room because they know he has these, claustrophobia, anxiety, all type of things. They know he has these issues. So they had gotten him a room so that if it got too much for him, he could kind of dart upstairs and kind of regroup, get himself back together. So he tells her, like, will you just come and talk, so we can have a conversation. And she was like, I don't know. And so she decides, he has to go off and meet someone. And she decides, like, I'm finna leave. And so she goes outside. And after she had one of the waiters call a cab for her. And when the cab comes, she can't find the nerve to get in the damn cab. And so then she can't call a ride share because girl's terrified of that. So that's not happening. And so then she decides to go back inside, use the restroom, throw some water on her face, try and get herself together and get the courage to leave, because the truth is she didn't want to leave. And then she goes back outside to call a cab herself, and then she hears Jackson, and he begs her not to leave. And she demands, she's like, you know what? No, get me your driver. And so he was like, listen, just give me a few minutes. I'll call the driver. He'll be here in 5 minutes. So he opens up his shirt and he grabs her hand and places it on his chest where his skin is all, fucked up. And apparently when she touches his chest, when she had touched his chest to pull him in for the kiss, that's where he was feeling it. So even though she didn't know that, that's what like freaked him out. And so the driver pulls up and Jackson walks away and he just goes to the suite. So then he gets a call from downstairs that, there's a woman there to see him, and he was like, send her up. So then she asked him, like, what happened? And all he said was like, there was a fire and he got burned. Then she, of course, was talking about how she thought, him and he wouldn't talk about anything else after that. Like, that's the most she's getting today. Like, it was a fire and that's it. And so she kind of let him know she thought something was going on with, him and Phillips. And he was like, yeah, I don't think that would have worked because she has a whole wife. And so then he grabs her face and kisses her again. So he takes her, he ties her. He blindfolds her with his tie. And then he starts fingering her, and she's like super tight. She's a virgin. He doesn't know this. And he kept saying that. He's like, oh my God, you're so tight. He had no clue. The girl's a whole fucking virgin. And so he puts the condom on, and then he says the same thing when he enters her because she's like super tight. So of course they have a great night, and then the next morning she decides to tell him like, she's a virgin. So he's like, why you didn't tell me? And she was like, I'm embarrassed. And he's like, well, pretty much the way you took that dick last night, you're a natural. So then she checks her phone and she sees that she has like about 5 missed calls from Julie, and she even left like 2 voicemails. And like Julie never leaves voicemails. So she listens and she finds out that her mother's in the hospital. So she calls her dad and finds out her mother was in an accident. And so Jackson can kind of hear what's going on in the background. So when she gets off the phone, she's crying and she's like super upset. And Jackson is like, he understands, she's got some like horrible news. Because she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I know I look crazy. I'm crying. He's like, no, I understand. Like, you just got some horrible news. But Harley isn't really, like, she's upset that this has happened to her parent. But it's more so she tells him, like, I can't go back home. I can't go. And the book ends. That was some type of ending. So that was book 1 in our Tangled series. And so the next book in the series is called Tangled Up in Pain. So that's going to be a doozy. So it has 5 books total. And they're all about these two. So it really will be 5. So let me know what you guys think of these characters. Jackson, Harley, Julie. Drop down in the comment section, in the discussion board, and let me know what you think of these characters and what you think of the plot so far. As always, I truly appreciate your support, and thank you for tuning in to the Always Reading Book Club.